First, Oliver Whitfield-Mearchich is down outside the High Court because there's a judicial review going on to see whether or not Sadiq Khan actually instituted the expansion of the ULEZ zone here in London unlawfully. Oliver, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike. Yes, that's right. This two-day judicial review now underway here at the Royal Court of Justice. The Mayor, Sadiq Khan, says that he needs to expand ULEZ so that 5 million more Londoners can breathe clean air. It's a move that is backed by most environmental and health campaigners. However, on the other side is 5 London councils which say that it's going to hit motorists in the pocket. They say that the compensation scheme and scrappage scheme is not fair, and so they have taken the London mayors here to the court. There are fears that some people who are lower income earners who cannot afford the £12.50 a day charge to come into the newly expanded zone will then have to ultimately leave their jobs, and that those same people would not be able to afford to buy a new vehicle with new car prices at still quite high prices. Well, joining me now is Wendy Gowlett, who is an anti-ULEZ campaigner. Thanks so much for joining us, Wendy. What is it that you oppose about the scheme?
It's because, having worked hard all our lives, and with this scheme coming in, it means that each time we drive out of our property, it's going to cost us money, which we can't afford. We bought ourselves a decent second-hand vehicle just 4 or 5 years ago, which is deemed no longer compliant. We can't afford to buy another vehicle. We don't need another vehicle. We don't want another vehicle.
Would you not be eligible for the scrappage scheme then?
No, definitely not eligible. No, we are obviously pensioners. My husband is a little older than me, and so we're not eligible. We don't meet the criteria. And so it would mean perhaps having to find a bigger car, which we cannot afford. It came out of our life savings. I've worked hard from the age of 15 and was made redundant 4 times and worked until retirement age, and I don't expect to have to now be concerned about cash and money.
Do you understand the concerns of health campaigners, environmental campaigners that say that polluting air leads to excess deaths every year and that something needs to change in order to make the capital's air cleaner?
I do believe in that, and I'm I believe in sort of green issues, and I'm a great campaigner for that. However, it's being brought in too quickly, and there are changes happening all the time. It's continued to sort of, the atmosphere is beginning to become clearer, and I believe on natural wastage alone, if vehicles, those that can afford to buy new vehicles and those that no longer want to drive, or cars become uncompatible, beyond economic repair, I believe that is the way forward. Gradual report.
So you don't believe in having ULEZ in your area, but you don't necessarily mind it here in central London?
No, I believe that in central London, of course, there's a reason for it, and also a way of sort of cutting back on traffic and the pollution, but absolutely no need in the area that I live, in Beckenham, in Kent, and where the air is perfectly clear and blue skies and not an ounce of...
Can you understand why people might call you a NIMBY?
Yes, I can understand that. Yes, yeah, but I'm not a NIMBY. No, I'm open to most people's thoughts and desires to have what they want, but I do think there's got to be some sort of constraints.
Wendy Gowlett joining us there from outside the High Court. As I say, that judicial review is now continuing in the building behind me. It'll last for the next 2 days.
Yeah, Oliver, shocking behaviour that, calling a very sensible woman a NIMBY. Absolutely disgraceful. You're fired. This is TalkTV. Let's talk now to Councillor Paul Osborn, leader of Harrow Council, because he, of course, would agree with the protester we just heard there, Wendy Gowlett, who is happy for there to be a ULEZ zone in central London, but not for it to be expanded out into Kent, into Sussex, into Hertfordshire, into Buckinghamshire and into Essex. Paul, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Tell us what the situation is vis-à-vis this judicial review. What are you hoping comes out of it? What are you looking forward to seeing at the end of it?
Well, what we're hoping is the High Court will decide that the Mayor of London acted unlawfully in putting in this expansion to the ULEZ scheme and quashes it, so we can then actually have a proper debate about this. It can be a subject of the election coming up in May, and people can decide what they want for London.
Yes, because nobody, as far as we can tell from various polls that have been done, actually wants this, do they?
No, I mean, overwhelmingly in outer London, we see 80 odd% of people against the expansion. It might be popular in inner London, I don't know, but everything I've seen in outer London and almost all of the emails I get from residents, almost all the polls I've seen from local newspapers and local media outlets is 80% against.
Yes, and clearly the air quality in London is an awful lot better than it used to be. So when Sadiq Khan says that it's killing 40,000 people a year or whatever it is that he's claiming, or 4,000 depending on what day you talk to him on, you know, it's clear that he is using hyperbole and fear and kind of, you know, facts which may at least be at the very best manipulated to suit his agenda. And he needs to stop doing that, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, it's clear two things. One, the air quality has improved consistently over a large number of years as vehicles get less polluting and people use vehicles less. It's also the case that this scheme won't make that much difference to air quality in London. Even his own report that he used to base the decision on says that this will have a negligible impact on air quality in outer London.
Yeah, and also when you look at the way that London is structured, and particularly the way that outer London is, where in places where you are, people are saying, oh, well, an awful lot of people won't be affected by ULEZ because they've got cars which are compliant. Well, that may be true, but there are people who come in and out of those areas who work there or who might be coming in to fix somebody's kitchen sink or might be coming in to, you know, to help somebody move house. You know, there's lots of transient workers, aren't there, who will now have to put their prices up if this happens.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we dispute the Mayor of London's figures on how many vehicles in outer London are compliant. That's part of the court case that's going on as we speak. But also, as you say, there are people outside London, Hertfordshire, Essex, Kent, Surrey, who are joining us in this judicial review, who have to cross what was a kind of seamless border into London. It's now littered with cameras as you go through. The amount of cameras that have been put up in my borough is quite shocking. 200 yards in every direction from my house now there's a ULEZ camera.
And you're not able in any way to oppose the imposition of these cameras, right? Because that's a Sadiq Khan sort of ruling.
So actually, that's part of what we're arguing in the High Court, is that actually the Mayor doesn't have the power he thinks he has to put some of these things in, but we have to go through a court process to show that.
Yeah. And so this will go on for a couple of days, you say. When will we get a sort of idea of what the ruling's going to be?
Well, we're hoping to have it by the end of the month. That's when the court breaks for the summer recess. Obviously, if we don't get the judgment by then it's likely that ULEZ will come into force at the end of August. I think having that degree of legal uncertainty over something, I'm not sure the court will want, but obviously it's for the judge to decide when he releases his verdict. OK. Well, we'll look forward to getting that. Thank you very much indeed. That is, of course, Paul Osborn, leader of Harrow Council. 5 outer London councils have argued that there are 5 grounds for this judicial review. There's only sufficient evidence, apparently, according to the High Court, for 3 of them. The expansion is apparently too big, they're saying. The consultation was flawed and, according to the councils, did not disclose important information. Now, if you are eligible for a scrappage scheme, you can get £2,000 for scrapping a non-compliant car or up to £1,000 for scrapping a motorcycle. Not exactly a king's ransom, is it? What are you supposed to do? Buy a new car for £2,000? For wheelchair-accessible vehicles, there is a grant available of up to £5,000. And again, this is all public money they're spending, £110 million for a scrappage scheme, which nobody wants, which the taxpayer is somehow having to fund, which Sadiq Khan says is necessary for making the air cleaner in and around the capital city of London. And you know, if you're in Newcastle, if you're in Bristol, if you're in Manchester, if you're in Leeds, if you're in Glasgow, you know that this is happening all over the place, and you will be getting this problem very, very soon if you haven't got it already.